Hello. Could you start by introducing yourself to our viewers, please?
Yes, my name is Gerbig. I live in Hamburg, Germany, and I'm an Amiga coder since the early 90s, so to say, or Amiga fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember when you first got interested in computers? Was it the Amiga that did it or something before it?
Yes, it was the Amiga 500, not the Commodore 64, like all the others already told.
Yeah.
Amiga 500 was my first computer. This was something, yeah, my parents are not very interested in technical things. And so the Amiga 500 was the first computer I got, and I had to nag for it to get it. And yeah, after that, especially my father was very interested in it. But before that, computers was something that he didn't care.
Yeah. Okay. When did you start to be interested in the demo scene? How did that happen?
Very, very early, around late 80s, early 90s. I got to know a friend who was a swapper back then, swapping all kinds of games for the Amiga, and he also had a good collection of demos. And I remember that I often visited him with my bikes in winter.
Yeah.
Snow lying all around, and I on my bicycle was very yes, I was very curious to see the latest stuff. So he showed it to me, and this was the entry for me to get to know Amiga demos much better.
Yeah.
And to be fascinated about them.
Yeah. When did you start becoming interested in programming the machine yourself, and what language did you start out with? Was it assembly or basic or?
At first, I started in BASIC, but very soon I discovered that BASIC is very slow on the Amiga, so I changed to assembler code or assembly. Yes, it was a very hard cut before, because those two languages, there was no C between. No high language between. I just said, okay, I want to have control over this machine, and on the Amiga, assembler was the only way to get this control. And I wanted to code intros and demos too. And this was impossible with BASIC.
Yeah. How did you learn? Did anyone help you, or were you stuck without internet and anything and just had to learn the basic from books?
Luckily, back then in Germany, there were very good books and magazine articles about coding the Amiga hardware in assembler, for example. And I learned very much with the help of these articles and books.
Yeah.
So the books were in German and not in English, and this was very fine. And yeah. I got to know this machine, yes, by self-studying.
Yeah. Okay, so you did everything by yourself then, no help.
My connections were not as good as this, that I know, or that I knew different coders. So I had to do things on my own, and I analyzed other people's demos very much with the actual replay, for example. How did they do it? Learn from their coding, how they do certain effects, for examples, I was interested in.
You started out on the A500 like a lot of people did, but a lot of people just stayed on the A500. You actually moved to the 1200. What made you want to get? What made you want to get the 1200? What was it with that machine?
I was curious about the possibilities, the new possibilities of this machine. When it came out, it was around 92, 93. I saw the first demos and I said, okay, yes, this is something I'm very interested in, because back then I hated the limitations of the old chipset. It was not called old chipset back then, but today we call it old chipset, and there's much more flexibility on the Amiga 1200. Fast processor, for example, with a cache, and you can deal with better color palettes than on the OCS system.
Yeah. What tools did you use for development back then, and are you still using the same tools now?
Yes, I still use a very old software I bought back then. It's 35 years old. It was published in Germany. It's called OMA Assembler. This was a package, and I still use it. So yeah, for me, it's the software that I still use to create demos or intros.
Yeah. These days, most people working on Amiga demos are either doing things for the so-called stock A500 or they're doing AGA 060 stuff. But you decided to do stock A1200. How and why?
Yes, because it's a kind of niche. I would say nobody does it. And at the beginning, when the Amiga 1200 was new, back then everyone started to code without any accelerator cards. But this period was too short, and I just wanted to have more productions on this vanilla Amiga 1200 system, because the possibilities of because of the fast processor and the instruction cache were much better than on OCS, and you have much more possibilities. You don't need an 060 to do AGA stuff.
No.
Yes, the effects are simpler, of course, but you don't need it if you know, the faster processor and the possibilities of this faster processor.
Yeah, yeah. Do you use the Amiga for any other creative things?
Yeah, yes, I also use it to do some music stuff on the Pro Tracker, which is my favorite system. Yes, the limitations are only 4 channels. From today's point of view, very ridiculous, but it's very nice if you want to just compose quick tunes, because it's very easy to handle. And in some cases, it is very good if you compose your own music. Then you can decide and that everything matches with your effects. It's much easier.
Yeah. Do you program for a living, or is it just hobby coding on the Amiga?
It's only coding for the Amiga.
Yeah.
I mean, in the meantime, I started to code on JavaScript, or with JavaScript and TypeScript, but it was only for a short time. I was interested in it, and I got to know these high languages, and I saw, okay, JavaScript and TypeScript are very similar to the old C code on the Amiga, and now I understand those code sections much better, for example.
Yeah, great. Okay, is Amiga assembling programming still relevant today? Or in other words, is it still worth learning? Or should people just use C or...
If you want to, it depends on what you want to do on the Amiga. If you just want to write applications, I guess C is the first choice. But if you want to take over the machine and squeeze out everything out of this machine, then you have to code this in assembler. There's no way to do this on the Amiga, on the slow system in C, like today on faster machines.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Amiga emulators?
Well, very, very fine. They're very sophisticated. I use, for example, WinUI. Just for coding, I have different configurations, and I use it for testing, and also have a developer set up for me with my assembler software. So everything's fine. It's much easier to debug your code than with real hardware, for example.
What are your all-time favorite Amiga games, and why do they stand out to you? And are they A1200 games or A500 games?
More A500 games, because I played very much at that time when I had an Amiga 500. It was the ridiculous game Bubble Bobble. I was very fascinated in. And then, for example, so-called shoot 'em up games like Battle Squadron or Swift or Silkworm. Those were the games I was very interested in, and I played together with a friend, for example, with a double player mode. And on the Amiga 1200, I didn't play much anymore. More coding than playing. Maybe it's because of the fact I got older after that.
So, do you still play any games today on the Amiga, or never?
Because of lack of time, no, I don't play on the Amiga. I'm just focused on coding and on composing some small tunes for the Pro Tracker.
What are your own personal favorite demo productions on the Amiga?
Mostly OCS stuff like Desert Dream of Caverns and Silence Hardwired, because these productions impressed me very much. I guess from AGA productions, early AGA productions like Nexus 7 is something that impressed me very much, but it's a typical, I would say, vanilla Amiga 1200 demo.
If you had to recommend one demo and one game to someone that has never used the Amiga before, what would it be?
One demo, and I guess today I would recommend Hardwired of Silence and Desert Dream of Caverns, because these productions were milestones. And a game,
something that stands out.
Hard, because I know that there were much changes. I'm not sure if someone is interested in shoot 'em up games, things like that. If it's not an ego shooter, for example. So these were the games I grew up with, and I'm not sure if someone from today, is interested in that stuff.
That looks pretty dated, but you never know. Okay, now over to some basic questions. Do you think internet has changed creativity for the better or worse?
In my case, it's much easier to get to know people who do the same, who have similar interests. For example, it's like the Amiga, and it's much easier to get documentations, because you don't have to wait that a book is published, for example. You can just download it as a PDF file, things like that. And you don't have to go to special bookshops and hope that they sell this certain book, for example.
What are your thoughts on AI?
It might be useful, but if you want to know why things are happening in the background, or what's the reason for it, then I gives you answers, solutions, but no explanations why something is done like this. So for me, it's still something missing. If you're interested in background information, or if you don't say, okay, I've got this black box system, I put something in, and okay, I get a result and it works fine. But if you're interested in what's happening in this black box, AI is not the best way.
Yeah. What current limitation in hardware or software do you think will be solved next?
I guess the interface between something that's, or a vision that's in your mind, and how it is realized, for example, on hardware. I guess this will change very much, because at the moment, yes, there were some tries to say, okay, let's create, for example, a web page with your voice, things like that. But I guess someday it will be possible. You just think about it, and yes, it is created, and you don't have to talk or things like that. But that's very science fiction like.
If you could go back and give yourself, or your younger self, one piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Have more courage to release things, and don't wait until everyone does the same or does it better or things like that, because you waste time if you wait.
You waited way too long. I know
that. In my case, I waited too long. I had or I was able to release some things in the mid-90s, but I didn't, because I always thought, okay, that's not cool enough compared to other people's stuff. So just it was never released. But I guess yes, I was advanced, and I got the knowledge, so why not?
Okay, we're near the end now. Any shout-outs or greetings you'd like to send?
Yes, to Bifed of the tech and all resistance members, of course. I guess there are some Jasmine 68K, but I'm not sure if she ever will see this video. So
who knows?
Yes, who knows? I would recommend it, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Maybe there's something we didn't speak about that you would like to talk about?
I would my advice for everyone who starts on this ancient system like the Amiga: don't raise the bar too high. Just create simple things and be proud of it. So it doesn't have to be perfect at the beginning.
Correct. Okay, thanks for taking the time, Christian, and goodbye.